Hello viewers, my name is Zach Hardy, and this is my USW Call to Greatness 13 preview and predictions video, as you all know. At least if you've been following my Twitter countdown, if you've been following USW programming for many years, you've been watching, you've been following, you've been listening to my reviews for many years, you would know that this is around the time of Call to Greatness season. And this Sunday, April 29, 2018, Call to Greatness 13 will go live from New Jersey. It is obviously a big event every year for USW, their main show of the year. And it really closes out April for professional wrestling. You know, you have WrestleMania, you have WrestleMania weekend, you have, obviously Supercard of Honor, the takeover shows in April. You also now have like things like the Greatest Royal Rumble, I guess, which I would assume they're going to be doing somewhat frequently. And now Call to Greatness obviously ends the month for the year. And this show in particular has, I don't know, it's definitely not one of the strongest cards I've ever seen from a Call to Greatness show. But then again, Call to Greatness shows for the past 4 years now have been able to deliver spectacularly. There's not been one show since Call to Greatness 9 in 2014 that has kind of missed the point in many, if any, ways. No matter how strong the card may be or how weak the card may be, the shows always tend to put on great wrestling and a great story that ends up being told every Call to Greatness. I obviously didn't come prepared for this preview prediction. I didn't really have much to say about the show other than, of the whole kind of situation for the show, other than the fact that it happens this Sunday. It's a big event. It's a big deal in USW. It's a big deal for me and a lot of people in the locker room. And it's definitely one of those things where now that they put on great shows so frequently, 2014 was great with CTG 9. 2015 was great with CTG 10, CTG 11 in 2016, CTG 12 in 2017, now CTG 13 in 2018. For the past 4 years, Call to Greatness has been fantastic. It hasn't missed the mark. So now, because of that streak that they have going on, it's kind of this pressure for Call to Greatness 13 to be a really good show as well. And, no matter how good or how bad the previous year may have been, you always look forward to Call to Greatness. And this card, I think, it definitely has some strong moments. It definitely has some strong moments on the show, or on the show as a whole, or some strong matches, and I think something that can really deliver going forward. The big worry that I have with Call to Greatness is the undercard. The match card has obviously been released already. That's what they do every year, at least a week before the show. And, you have like the kickoff match between the God Complex against Verse 9, Indigo Child, Arrow, and Alicia Sinclair. You have Simon Satan Hernasli, Capital, and Yo-Yo Joe. And then you get into the real, matches. You have Philip Akron and Anarchy, Paul Orlando and Washington. You have the Key and Case match, and then from there it really starts picking up. But I'm worried that the beginning half of the show isn't going to deliver to the extent that a lot of other Call to Greatnesses have kind of delivered on in recent memory in terms of the fact of wrestling ability or intrigue. I think my biggest worry with Call to Greatness is that the opening maybe hour of the show, the crowd won't really be into every single match. With the fact that, okay, later in the show you have Jack Ramsey and Austin Cole versus Sammy North and Blade North. The fans may be interested in that. I don't know if they'll be quite as interested in Simon Saint versus Hernasli or Capital versus Yo-Yo Joe as they would be for, let's say, Dwayne Porter versus Tyreek Carr versus Suzuki Kirakashi versus Crimson Red. But it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that's worked around. I hope that if it does start off slow, then it really picks up steam going forward, but you can't necessarily be too sure. Either way, Call to Greatness 13 looks to be a pretty damn good show. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping it does extremely well for USW and for wrestling overall. And without further ado, I've talked too much. Let's get into the show. So as I mentioned before, the kickoff match will be between the God Complex, which consists of Octavian, Ophion, Artemis, and Aphrodite, against Verse 9, Indigo Child, Arrow, and Alicia Sinclair. This is obviously a huge moment for USW. This is the first match in which women are competing in a Reese Family Promotion match since 2009, back in Whacked Out Wrestling. It's been almost a decade. Kyle Reese Jr. finally seeing some faith, or having some faith and some hope in a women's division in USW, and I think this is definitely going to be the starting point to that going forward. Obviously, they've been training a lot of women in a lot of different schools around where they kind of pluck talent from, and Alicia Sinclair has obviously been one of the biggest standouts, one of the most talked about for years now. If, you know, a women's division were to happen, she's always been one of the main talking points, and it's going to be interesting to see how this ends up going. You know, if Alicia Sinclair and Aphrodite actually pull their weight and make a women's division something that the entire crowd wants to see. It's been speculated since Aphrodite came along with the God Complex. They could have easily had it been an Octavian, Artemis, and Ophion kind of thing, rather than, you know, inserting Aphrodite, but then they added Aphrodite in as a manager, and ever since then, there's been speculation about a women's division coming soon, and it looks like that's actually going to happen very soon. This match should be a pretty damn good start, in terms of the fact that I think it will deliver in terms of the kickoff match and gain the attention of a lot of people for the rest of the show. I'm holding out a lot of hope for the match. I think the God Complex will win this match, primarily because I think they have a lot of momentum going, and they want to keep that going in order to establish them as an incredibly dominant faction. I see a lot of potential in all four of these performers from the God Complex. Aphrodite could be a fantastic women's champion. Artemis and Ophion could be fantastic tag team champions, and Octavian could be a fantastic international champion or global champion. I think they could easily rule the roost of a lot of major championships on the Severity roster if they were to be held to the standard that a lot of other stables have been beforehand. You know, Perfect Destiny, even the Mobocracy to an extent, the Promised Land. I'm looking forward to seeing what the God Complex does after Cult of Greatness. I think they will win this match here, and in turn beat Verse 9, Indigo Child, Arrow, and Alicia Sinclair. I think there will be something in this match, some spot, some moment that happens between Aphrodite and Alicia Sinclair that really triggers the women's division to come into frame. Because you know it's bound to happen now that Alicia Sinclair's in the picture. It's going to be interesting to see how they work that in, how they establish a women's division. It's also going to be interesting to see if it's going to be on one show or the other. This is obviously a Severity match, so whether Intensity is going to get a women's division or not, I have no clue. But it's definitely going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting spot to see. You know, at what point one of the women, or whether Aphrodite or Alicia Sinclair get involved in the match, how the end of the match plays out, if one of the women are going to be involved in the end of the match, and that's really going to push forward into what happens with a women's division going forward. I think the God Complex will win this match. I've heard that Arrow is going to be leaving USW in the coming weeks, so it's kind of befitting that he gets one Call to Greatness match before he leaves. He's been there for years, though, you know, with backstage, you know, stuff and all. He only transitioned to a in-ring work thing around 2015, 2016, and very steadily. He hasn't really done much since. That's why he's leaving the company, but it's going to be, it's nice to see USW giving him one match at Call to Greatness at the very least. So I'm hoping for a good start to the show in this match, and I think the God Complex will pick up the victory over Verse 9, Indigo Child, Arrow, and Alicia Sinclair. The next match on the card is an Intensity match, and it is between Simon Saint and Her Nasty. There was a lot of speculation as to what Her Nasty was going to be doing at Call to Greatness, whether he was going to be facing Derek Carter or Zach Hardy or James for the USW Championship. Everything was up in the air, and they settled on Simon Saint versus Her Nasty, which I'm not going to shit all over. It's both of them both performers have a fantastic work rate. I think they are capable of doing a lot, and I think they could really have a huge showing at Call of Greatness this Sunday. I think they could really capitalize on the success of her and Ashley over the past couple of months, and the vocalization of the fans wanting to see more of her and Ashley. And I think they could really capitalize on that by shifting focus to Simon Saint versus her and Ashley. You know that the crowd is going to be behind her and Ashley at Call of Greatness 13, so what they do with Simon Saint in the match, I have no clue. Whether they're going to turn him heel in some way or whether they're going to have him win in a heelish sort of fashion, I have no clue. But I think the crowd will be invested in this match to an extent. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be one of the sleeper matches on the card, as in a lot of people will kind of just glance over it as, oh yeah, this is another match on the card, but it's really going to kind of prove itself and shine or outshine a lot of other matches on the card. I'm going to say that her and Ashley will win this match. It's a toss-up with me because Simon Saint could very easily win this match and go into, like, the red belt championship picture or the blue belt championship picture, and her and Ashley that could then go into a more mid-card singles run against the likes of, like, you know, an Anarchy or a Philip Akron or a Seth. Something along those lines. But, you know, whatever happens, it is a toss-up, really, between who could win this match. I think her and Ashley could gain the most from it. He lost to Zach Hardy in January at Insanity. He didn't do much leading up to Call of Greatness. This was really the biggest talking point since his USW championship shot in early January, so I think he could really benefit from a victory at Call of Greatness 13, and I think that a loss won't really harm Simon Saint all too much, for the sole fact that, hell, this could even turn into a feud going down the line. I think her and Ashley could gain a lot from a victory, or gain more than Simon Saint can from a victory at Call of Greatness 13. And with a victory, he could then go forward into a main event non-title feud with, you know, a Derek Carter or a Zach Hardy or whomever, and really kind of go forward in what, you know, earn the crowd response that he's been getting for a year and a half, 2 years now. So yeah, looking forward to that. The next match on the card is Capital versus Yo-Yo Joe in a Friday Night Severity match. This match I don't think will be too much of a talking point. I think it's just kind of an intermission between the start of the show towards when the show really gets going. I think Capital will win this match. Yo-Yo Joe turned heel a month ago at Emergence in order to set up this match. I think this is just a way to get Yo-Yo Joe on the Call of Greatness card. And I think Capital will beat Yo-Yo Joe here. Not much else to say. I think this is just, again, a way to get Yo-Yo Joe on the Call of Greatness card. And I think this could end up propelling Capital and the Mobocracy to an extent on the Severity card, with the Severity roster for the next, you know, coming months or whatever. It could really give them some momentum that they really need at this point. So I'm just going to go with Capital. It's not much else to be said about this match. Next match on the card will be an intensity match. It'll be for the Red Belt Championship with Philip Akron defending the title against Anarchy. This match, I think, is really going to... God damn it. Top was closed. This match, I think... I think it'll be a good showing by both performers. I think Anarchy will really prove to be, or really prove that he can have a fantastic match, especially when the stakes are so high. Philip Akron has already proven that he is very capable of running with a mid-card championship and making it feel worth something. I think Philip Akron is definitely going to win this match at Call of Greatness. I think the match will be... God, I don't know what to say about this match. I feel as though Philip Akron versus Anarchy is going to be a match that catches the eyes of a lot of people. I think it'll be a good match. I think they'll get a lot done. I think there'll be some interesting spots. I'm pretty sure Philip Akron will walk out red belt champion still, just because he's not held the title that long. But then again, it's question it as to whether Anarchy would then beat Philip Akron for the title at Cult of Greatness, and then beat him again next month at Final Chapter, or No Remorse, or whatever the USW or the Intensity pay-per-view is. And then Philip Akron would then challenge James, because we know that he's been rumored for the main event picture, and how they said that they gave him the red belt title, or at least they hinted to the fact that they gave him the red belt title because they really had nothing in the main event scene to do for Akron at Cult of Greatness. So maybe this could be just Anarchy beats him at Cult of Greatness, and then beats him next month, and then Philip Akron goes to the main event picture. I have no clue, though. It could really swing either way. It's based off of whether the creative department has something for Akron or not after Cult of Greatness in terms of main event. I'm going to say Akron beats Anarchy at Cult of Greatness to retain the red belt title. I think he holds on to it for a couple of more months, then drops it, then goes to the main event. But then he's going to face James. And there's already been the rumor that James is going to hold the title into the fall, which means Akron would then lose to James. There are a lot of different ways that this match could play out. Well, alright. So if Anarchy were to beat Akron, Akron would then lose the rematch next month, and then challenge for the USW title, and most likely lose. If Akron retained, he could then hold on to it for a few more months, then challenge James then, or he could retain and then hold on to it until the fall, and then be the one that beats James to take the USW title. This could really play out in a multitude of different ways. I'm going to stick with Philip Akron. There are more ways that this could go forward in the future for Philip Akron retaining than Philip Akron dropping the title here. I'm going to go with Philip Akron. I think the match will be great. I think there will be a couple of great spots. And I'm going to go with Philip Akron to retain the Red Belt Championship, because I think there's much more that you could do with him going forward in the next coming months if you were to retain the title at CTG rather than dropping it to Anarchy again. So I'm going to go Philip Akron, and you're going to tell me how wrong I was when that happens. So next match is the Friday Night Severity side of the card. It is for the Global Championship, and it is Paul Orlando defending the championship against Washington. This match, Washington's been kind of hit or miss for quite some time now. The whole story of this match was Washington trying to gain redemption for failed quests at the whatever title or whatever motion it was. He would, oh fucking hell. Alright, snap out of the fucking street, Zach. Alright. Washington's been hit or miss for the past couple of months, past couple of years. The storyline for this match is that he wants redemption for his failures over the past couple of years in USW and not being able to really capture that brass ring. And so his shot to do so is by facing Paul Orlando for the Global Championship at Call to Greatness. I like that idea of the storyline. It fits very well with Washington, especially with his character and with everything that's happened with Washington over the past couple of years. I don't think Paul Orlando is dropping the Global Championship. I think it is way too soon, and I think he's going to do a lot more with the title itself. So I guarantee you Paul Orlando is going to beat Washington at Call to Greatness. The question, though, is whether this feud continues over the next couple of months, because if it does, that could make Washington look weak. But if it doesn't, you know, Washington can then try to gain redemption somehow and, I don't know, fight back up the ladder to challenge for the Global Championship. It's, man, a lot of different ways that these things can play out. I know Paul Orlando is going to retain the title. I think it's going to be a good match. I don't know what they're going to do afterwards with Paul Orlando or Washington, whether they're going to continue this as a feud or kind of build it up slowly or have them split up into separate ways. I'm unsure of how this is going to work out, but I know Orlando is going to retain. I know it's going to be a good match. I think there's a small possibility that it doesn't perform as well as I wanted it to, or as well as I would hope it to. But I think it'll definitely be a good match. I think that chance of it not being a good match is too low. The real question is what they do after Call to Greatness, because I know Paul Orlando will still be the global champion. He'll continue to defend the title. It's more of a question of what Washington will do and this redemption storyline as to whether he'll continue to try to fight to redeem himself by capturing the global championship, or if he'll keep getting knocked down a peg, have to challenge and have to work his way back up to the global championship and then get knocked down again. A multitude of different ways that this could go. I'm going to go ahead and say that Paul Orlando will retain the global championship. It'll be a good match, and that after this match, they will continue this storyline. I don't think USW would then have Washington fight mid-card guys just to work his way back up to the global championship. I keep getting knocked down a peg. So yeah, I'm going to say that Washington and Orlando will continue this feud going forward, and that'll kind of change how I kind of look at a lot of different pay-per-views going forward. But yeah, Orlando obviously to retain. Definitely going to be a good match. I'm worried for what Washington does after the match, though, because while I feel as though the feud, they will more than likely continue this feud, I can't be certain. You know, they didn't do that with Austin Atomic last year, and so I can't say that they would do the same for Washington. But you know, we'll play it by ear, and yeah, the fact that Orlando will retain and that it'll be a good match, I'm sure of. Just worried for what the future holds for Washington. So there's that. Next match is the Key and Case match, the 6th Key and Case match. It'll be Alexander Rotten, Prophecy, Mika Jordan, Derek Carter, Eli Kaner, and Dustin Raymond. Bill Cosby's been found guilty. Cool. So yeah. God damn it. Okay, let's play it performer by performer. Let's start with Dustin Raymond. I think Dustin Raymond has just gotten back into USW. He just got back to USW in January. I think it'd be too early for him to capture a world title shot, though I think they could really work wonders with it. And really build it up to be something special, something unique, and proceed to make Dustin Raymond a main event star. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that will not happen, and Dustin Raymond will not win this match. Alexander Rotten, while I want to see Rotten winning the Key and Case match again, I do not think he needs it. And I think USW sees that. They could very easily book him to be this unstoppable monster that just tears through everybody. And have him challenge the World Championship at that point. I don't think they need him to hold the Key and Case in order to take that World Championship shot. I think they could very easily book him to be a valiant challenger for the World Championship. Prophecy, he's not doing much. He hasn't been doing much. And while I think he could definitely benefit from the Key and Case, I think it would kind of be wasted on Prophecy because it would be an easy way to push him into the main event picture, which he's kind of proven over the past couple of months that, in character at least, he doesn't really deserve it. Eli Kaner, I don't see winning either, for the sole purpose that he's still too much of a new character. Though I think the reason for why a lot of people think he's going to win and why he's a heavy favorite is because he just did drop the Global Championship, which kind of shows that they have something in mind for him. Meanwhile, you know, they could have obviously had him retain the Global Championship and then just go into the Key and Case match with the Global Championship, but that's not really how USW tends to do things. But at the same time, if he weren't going to win, then they would have just had him keep the Global Championship and put somebody else in his spot. You know, say a Majigeta or an Indigo Child or a fucking Verse 9 or a Suzuki Kirikashi, who knows. So that I don't think personally that he'll win, though I can understand why he's a heavy favorite. Mika Jordan, I think either he or Derek Carter will win the key in case. I think Mika Jordan has been on the path to becoming a mainstay face of the company for years now. Meanwhile, he hasn't really fulfilled those hopes of a lot of people of, yes, this guy could, this guy will definitely become a world champion. I think he's very capable in the ring, and I think he's a fantastic mic worker, and I think he would absolutely be an incredible world heavyweight champion. I just think that he hasn't done enough over the past couple of years to really solidify him being a viable option for the hold the key in case. I think he'd do well with it, and I think he'd use it properly. And I would love to see Mika Jordan as the world heavyweight champion. But I think if there's anybody in this match that makes sense to have them hold it storyline-wise, that they deserve to hold it storyline-wise, and booking-wise, they'd be able to use it to have an effective world title reign, I think it would be Derek Carter. I think, there's obviously the pros and cons to everybody, and there are half the field can definitely win it. Eli Kaner, as I mentioned, could win it because of the fact that he dropped the global title, and if he wasn't going to win it, he would have just kept the global title, and then somebody else would have taken a spot for the key in case match. So I can see why he's an option, why he's a very heavy favorite. I can see why Mika Jordan is a very big favorite, as they could very well use it in a right way. But I think if there's anybody that's going to hold on to the key in case that can believably be a viable challenger to a world championship and do wonders with it, I think it would be Derek Carter. I think there's a reason for why he lost to Mr. Anthony last month at Allegiance. And at the same time, I think there's a reason for that valiant promo of "You don't belong here. These are for the USW guys, the guys that want to revolutionize wrestling." That whole vigilante of USW, I think that was the case of trying to make him a main event guy, or trying to make him a main event face is what I'm trying to say. And I think a key in case possession, where he then announces when he's going to utilize the key in case, or if he turned face and then used it in a very babyface kind of fashion, I think that would establish him firmly as a face in that moment, and I think that would make the most sense. Derek Carter obviously is primed to be one of, if not the greatest stars in USW history for the next coming 30, 40 years. And I think he's done so much with his heel run over the past 4 years that this face run will definitely be a huge change of character that he needs, and would really establish him when he utilized that key in case to establish him firmly as, yes, this man is a face. There is no doubting that anymore. So I think Derek Carter will win this match, and I think he's the most believable to hold on to the key in case out of all of the 6 performers. So I'm going to go with Derek Carter, though I would not be surprised if Mika Jordan or Eli Kaner won the match. I would be surprised if Dustin Raymond won it, and I would be surprised if Prophecy won it, though I wouldn't be that surprised if Alexander Rotten won it. So yeah, Derek Carter, Mika Jordan, and Eli Kaner will be my most likely candidates. I'll go Derek Carter most likely, Mika Jordan and Eli Kaner likely. Immediate would be Alexander Rotten. Unlikely would be Dustin Raymond, and most unlikely would be Prophecy. So there's that. Though I think it'll be a hectic, fucking chaotic match. So that's that. The next match will be a hardcore match between Weiler and Seth. This is an intensity match. An insane match, nonetheless. The feud has really stepped up its game over the past couple of months. Seth and Weiler they went from, I don't like you, to I really don't like you, to I want to fucking rip your throat out and murder you in cold blood in front of thousands of people. That's the story of the feud over the past couple of months. I don't like you. Okay, now I really don't like you. Okay, now I want to fucking kill you. Like, that's the evolution of the storyline over the past couple of months, and it's worked out extremely well, you know. I saw clips from Seth beating Weiler down with a fucking kendo stick. I saw Weiler handcuffing Seth to a rope and then whacking him over the back of the head with a kendo stick. They're just going all out and fucking wanting to kill each other. And so I think this match will end up going down as one of the most insane matches that USW has ever seen. I don't know about hardcore per se, but I think there will be some things that you won't see maybe ever again. Or maybe in terms of you will rarely ever see this again. You know, I don't remember the last time I saw somebody whack somebody with the back of the head or neck or face with a kendo stick multiple times. I don't remember the last time somebody opened up a table and then dropped them on the table leg itself. I don't remember the last time somebody opened up a ladder and then suplexed them into the bridging portion of the ladder. These guys have done fucking insane shit that I'm surprised they're even walking into Call of Greatness. Not even just walking out, but walking into Call of Greatness nevertheless. I'm sorry, nonetheless. But I think this is going to be more insane than it is hardcore. I think it will be one of those moments where we will most likely not see that in that kind of form ever again. Which adds to Call of Greatness and which adds to this match. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be the sleeper match of the show. Yeah, I think it'll be insane, and I'm gonna go with Weiler to win this match. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, I think Weiler will win. So there's that. Next match is, this is a severity match, and it is for the International Championship. Suzuki Kirikashi defends the championship against Crimson Red. This is one of, I want to say, the most underrated championship matches I've ever seen in Call of Greatness history. Crimson Red has worked his ass off over the past number of years, and his feud now with the Promised Land has been intriguing, even though it's kind of been overlooked. Being betrayed by the Promised Land when you thought maybe they actually will bring him into the ranks, and then seeing Crimson Red have to fight off Tanner Wallace and Blaine North, and now Blaine North and Tanner Wallace going with the whole Samuel North direction, now leaves this whole chapter between Suzuki Kirikashi and the Promised Land against Crimson Red to a boiling point, I Call of Greatness. I think Suzuki Kirikashi is going to retain the International Championship. I think Crimson Red is going to end up walking out of this feud the bigger loser out of the two sides. However, I think Crimson Red will go on to do much, much, much more in the mid-card scene over the next couple of months on the Severity roster after this feud. I think this feud has been a really solid point for Crimson Red in terms of the fact of the story has been played from top to bottom. You know, you had at Insanity, Crimson Red teamed with Blaine North and Tanner Wallace to kind of fend off the God Complex, or was it the Mobocracy? It was one of the two. And then out of frustration, Tanner Wallace and Blaine North then attacked Crimson Red. Crimson Red would then fight them again over the next couple of months until he finally made his way to the leader, the head honcho of the group, at Call to Greatness. So, and now it's to a head. He's now challenging him for the International Championship, which is essentially Suzuki Kirikashi's pride and joy. I think this will be a fantastic match. I think the story will be extremely well done, knowing USW's tendency to add the element of storytelling into these kind of matches. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's one of the most overlooked matches on the entire card as a whole. If not, any Call to Greatness card over the past decade. Again, really looking forward to it. I think Kirikashi will retain the International Championship, and Crimson Red will do great things going forward. As for Suzuki Kirikashi, I don't know. Shut up! I don't know what Kirikashi will do with the International Championship in the months going forward, but I am definitely looking forward to seeing what both performers do from there on out, and especially the match this Sunday. If you don't shut the fuck up. going to ignore it. Who are you? Anyway, the next match on the card is an intensity match, and it's for the Blue Belt Championship. I'll be right back. So as I was saying, Blue Belt Championship is on the line. Dwayne Porter defends against Tyreek Carver. This is another story that I'm really looking forward to seeing culminate at Call of Greatness. Tyreek Carver, obviously we all know the story. As I take another swig of coffee. Which I desperately need. We all know the story. Tyreek Carver defeats his former mentor, Philip Akron, at Bulletproof 10 this past November to claim the Blue Belt Championship. He then loses it after a couple of valiant defenses, proving himself to be a worthy Blue Belt champion to Dwayne Porter at Allegiance? I think it was Allegiance. Which led up to Dwayne Porter versus Tyreek Carver Call of Greatness. I think this will be a really good match. Tyreek Carver has really impressed me over the past couple of fucking months, let's say, since December, I would say, and his starting feud with Philip Akron. He's really impressed me with what he's been able to accomplish in the Blue Belt Championship picture. I think this will be a really good match. I think Dwayne Porter will end up showing everyone why he's the greatest Blue Belt champion of all time, and I think even though Philip Akron had a fantastic Blue Belt Championship run, and I think Dustin Raymond was a fantastic Blue Belt champion as well, I think Dwayne Porter will go down in history as the greatest Blue Belt champion of all time. And I think Philip Akron will definitely have an incredible showing at Call of Greatness. This is the first time he's gained real traction since Call of Greatness 10 about 3 years ago, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does from here on out. Tyreek Carver will most likely not win this match, though I know he'll have a fantastic showing. I hope this feud continues for the next couple of months. It's been really fantastic to watch, really fantastic to see play out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what both guys can do for the next couple of months. So yeah, I think this will be a good match. I don't think it'll deliver as much as the Suzuki Kirikashi and Crimson Red match will, but I think it will definitely be a fantastic match overall. So yeah, I'm going to go with Dwayne Porter to retain the Blue Belt Championship. Tyreek Carver and Dwayne Porter to kind of trade wins of the next couple of weeks before Dwayne Porter eventually beats Carver on a pay-per-view, and they kind of go away from that, and Tyreek Carver does something else. Dwayne Porter defends the Blue Belt title, something along those lines. But I'm looking forward to that. So yes, that's that. The next match is for the World Tag Team Championships. It is a severity match. Jack Ramsey and Austin Cole defend the championships against Samuel North and Blaine North, the Promised Land, otherwise known as the New Northern Lights, though they're being presented as the Promised Land. This will be Samuel North's first match as a part of the Promised Land. This will be his first match with his brother again since 2016, I believe. And this will be the first Northern Lights match that we've seen since, I believe, 2015. This is a match that is just essentially made for Ferocity diehards, for guys that loved the Ferocity brand when it was around. You have the Northern Lights, who kind of proclaim themselves to be one of the greatest forces that Ferocity had seen when it was around, though it only lasted 9 episodes, 10 if you want to be technical. And Jack Ramsey and Austin Cole, which were kind of products of the Ferocity developmental system. This is really Ferocity at its finest. Ferocity tag team competition at its finest. I'm looking forward to seeing this match, especially because Jack Ramsey and Austin Cole always hit it out of the park with their defenses, and they've got fantastic challengers in Sam North and Blaine North. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Jack Ramsey and Austin Cole retain. I think Sammy North and Blaine North will have to fight up an uphill battle over the next couple of months in order to get back to the World Tag Team Championship picture. And then I think they will take the World Tag Team titles, but I think Jack Ramsey and Austin Cole will hold on to them for now, while Blaine North and Sammy North really establish themselves or reestablish themselves as the Promised Land, not just as the Northern Lights, but as the Promised Land in the Tag Team Championship picture. While Jack Ramsey and Austin Cole run roughshod over the division for a couple of more months, and then eventually drop the titles to Sammy North and Blaine North, maybe Ultimate Consequence. Well, we'll just say Ultimate Consequence. So yeah, looking forward to this match. I think it'll be good, and that's where I think that'll lead after the match. Next match is the intensity side of the card, and it's for the USW Tag Team Championships. The Martin brothers defend the USW Tag Team Championships against Fernandez and Gringo, otherwise known as the Marvelous Brothers in Arms. This match I'm looking forward to firmly because of Fernandez and Gringo. I've seen clips over the past couple of weeks, and I will tell you, I don't think I've laughed my ass off at USW programming since maybe ever. It's been so fucking great. It's just like Fernandez selling and Gringo's. They're like the Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, the Red Dragon of USW. They do some of the funniest shit, and it makes sense, but it's some of the funniest shit that it just works so well in the moment. You just can't deny it. It's, I think it was George Martin hit a DDT on Fernandez, and he planted into the ring and then got back up onto his knees and then fell back forward into the canvas. You had Alex Martin. I was about to say Alexander Rotten. And Alexander... Fuck! I was about to say... God damn it! I can't... God, it's not my day. You had Alex Martin hit a Frankensteiner off of the top rope, or off of the top turnbuckle, and you had Fernandez then fly like a swanton bomb onto the canvas. He then picked himself up and fell face flat onto the canvas. I mean, he's done that a lot now. Fernandez will kind of sell and then pop back up and then land face flat on the canvas again. It's just fantastic selling. It's stupid as shit, but it kind of makes sense in the moment. Overselling is all hell, but it's funny as shit, and it's so entertaining, and I'm really looking forward to this. They've really formed into their own unique team and stable, and it works so well for them, and I'm really looking forward to this match and seeing what they do. I'm gonna go ahead and say that the Martin brothers. I'm gonna change my prediction, and I'm going to say that the Marvelous Brothers in Arms are going to walk out the new USW Tag Team Champions. I think the Martin brothers have done well. I think they're going to end up splitting again, and George Martin and Alex Martin will go in, singles competition sometime by the beginning of the summer. And I think the Marvelous Brothers in Arms will hold those titles with pride, and they'll make them feel incredible. Like the perfect thing about it is they've been calling themselves Marvelous, right? Not glorious or anything like that. They've been calling themselves Marvelous. Like, and it's not a case of like, oh yes, I'm the best, but it's a case of they're holding themselves like they're untouchable. Like, they're unbreakable. You can't do anything to beat them. You can't do anything to prepare for them. They're simply marvelous, and they're on a higher level than you. It's not like they walk out with a robe and throw their hands up into the air or yell woo. They're just, I'm better than you. And they leave it at that. And then they sell like fucking dipshits, and it's incredible. I'm definitely looking forward to this match, and I really want to see the Marvelous Brothers in Arms take the titles. Just fucking, if there's anything I call the greatest that I want to see, it's the Marvelous Brothers in Arms winning the titles. I didn't think it was going to be possible at the start, because I thought, okay, well, maybe USW is going to go, well, they're too comedic. Maybe a couple of months down the line, build them up that way, but no, I want to see it now. I want to see, I don't know, fucking Gringo hitting his fucking Insiguri, and then Fernandez hitting an Insiguri, and then Fernandez getting the pin, and then going, we won? We win? We won! Ah, we won! I would love to see that. That's what they did a couple of weeks ago. To a lesser extent, though. I want to see them, like, fucking parade around the ring, jumping around the crowd and shit with the titles. I just want to see that. They're fucking goofballs, and it's great. I just want to see it. I want to see it so badly. But yes, I'm predicting the Marvelous Brothers in Arms to win. I don't God, I want it to happen. I'm predicting with my heart, not with my head. I want to see it happen. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen, but God, I want to see it happen. If it happens, I'm going to fucking review the shit out of that show. I'm going to review the shit out of that match, and I'm going to fucking stand here. I'm going to jump like a fucking giddy schoolgirl if they fucking win. That'd be fantastic. I am firmly on the side of the Marvelous Brothers in Arms. I'm looking forward to this so much. The more I talk about it, the more I just get excited for it. So, yes, I want the Marvelous Brothers in Arms to win. I'm going to predict them based off of my heart. So, there's that. All right, getting away from that, next match on the card is a severity match, and it is one of the four headlining matches called Greatness 13. It will be Ash versus Morbid. This match is going to be great. I think it's going to be great. There's heavy speculation that Ash is set for a huge push going forward, and that this is going to be a feud for the next couple of months. And by next couple of months, I'm going to assume 5 or 6 months. And I really want to see it happen. I'm so looking forward to it, primarily because their characters are great. Like, I used to use the analogy of colors, like what mixes well with what. Like, red mixes well with blue, green mixes well with blue. Green doesn't mix well with red sometimes, but red mixes well with purple sometimes. I would say it's like a blue versus a black and white, like a black and white combination. And the bigger story that you go into the match with is, what Morbid are we going to see? It was a huge thing, like, with WrestleMania, what Undertaker, are we going to see the Dead Man, the Phenom, or the American Badass? Are we going to see the regular Morbid, fighting professional fighter that we see? The whole weight tank top, fucking jeans, and wrist tape? I just call it wrist tape. I don't know what the terminology, whatever. Or are we going to see him come out with the fucking damn cape, the fucking black tank top, the black jeans? Are we going to see that? Or are we going to see something new? I have no clue. I'm hoping we get fucking Devil's Favorite Son, or whatever the fuck you call it. I'm hoping we get regular Morbid instead of professional fighter Morbid, because that would be fantastic. So I think that would have a big thing to do with the outcome of this match. If we get professional fighter Morbid, it's going to be blue versus white. If you get if we get the whole dark persona Morbid, it's going to be blue versus black. And I'm going to say Ash wins this match. He lost at Emergence to Morbid. I think he's going to pick up his win at Call to Greatness. I think Morbid's going to lose again at Call to Greatness. And I think it's going to be a really good match. I think Ash is setting for a huge push, like it's been rumored, and I think that's going to happen with a win over Morbid. So I'm going to go with Ash to beat Morbid. I think it's going to be a great match, and I think it's going to be great showing from both performers, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, next match is an intensity match, and it is the biggest stipulation match of the entire show, if not the second. And it is to be held inside Hell in a Cell. If Zach Hardy loses, he will leave USW and professional wrestling as a whole. If Kyle Reese Jr. loses, he will forfeit general manager position of the Wednesday Night Intensity brand, therefore cannot control the brand on a week-to-week basis, just oversee it. This match has so much writing on it. It's not even funny at this fucking point. You understand why the Hell in a Cell was brought in there. The injured wrist of Zach Hardy, the inexperience of Kyle Reese. It's to really mask those. I think that this match is going to be heavy and hard-hitting, and I think there's going to be a lot of drama pushed into the story of the match as a whole, and I think it's going to translate really well to the show in it and of itself. I think that this match could really turn out either way. I think Kyle Reese could win, and Zach Hardy could go to music and business and whatever the fuck he's doing, or Hardy could win, and Kyle Reese could be taken out of power as Intensity General Manager, and then that storyline can progress over the next couple of months, 6-7 months. It could really go either way. I'm going to predict that Zach Hardy wins this match. though it is still speculated that Kyle Reese Jr. will win the match. I'm going to speculate that Zach Hardy will win the match based off of the fact that I think they can do more with Kyle Reese losing his position as general manager than they can with Zach Hardy losing the ability to wrestle in USW. So yeah, Hardy to beat Kyle Reese Jr., though I think it'll be a match that is less wrestling ability and more weapons-based and blood-oriented. Jesus Christ. So, the Intensity main event is going to be for the USW Championship, and it is James defending the USW Championship against Mr. Anthony. This match, I think, will not... I think it'll deliver to an extent. I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll be a decent match. I think it'll deliver to the point where James looks like a valiant USW champion. I just think the criticism that the match will get will be undeserved. You know, of all of the fans that have been hassling USW about, oh, Mr. Anthony should not be in this position right now. It's going to hurt him for months, years. Like, hell, look what happened with Dwayne Porter. He was built up for years with the USW Championship opportunity at Call to Greatness, and look where he is now, just only gaining traction now 3 years later. So this is a bad decision, so on and so forth. I'm on the fence about what I feel with Mr. Anthony. I think they could do a lot with having him lose here, and you know he's going to lose to James. But I'm on the fence as to whether me knowing that Mr. Anthony can kind of go into a downward spiral in the next couple of months from losing his opportunity at being at the top of the mountain of another promotion. I think that could do wonders for his career, and I think that's where they're going to head with him. Or if he's going to continue in this spot, and it's really going to dilute his character. I don't know what to say, because I don't know what to really make of it. Mr. Anthony's whole thing of the past couple of weeks is that he's been showing more heelish tendencies in terms of the fact that, you know, he's been getting in James's face, he's been trying to provoke him, and James just wouldn't let him provoke him. And I think that'll continue at Call to Greatness. I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll deliver. But I don't think it'll be the best match of the night, and I don't think it'll be main event worthy. But I'm going to have James, obviously, retaining the USW Championship here. The next match is the very main event of the match. It is for the World Heavyweight Championship, and is the entire main event of Call to Greatness 13. The winner of this match will become the new or retain the World Heavyweight Championship, and the loser of this match will either lose or fail to reclaim the World Heavyweight Championship and will be forced to leave Ultimate Showcase Wrestling. It is Cannon defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Machigetta. This match, I think... Hell, USW likes to every so often bank on a combination of Machigetta, Cannon, and Zach Hardy, just because that combination of the three worked so well in WOW that the story really tells itself. I think this will be the final time. This is my bold prediction for Call to Greatness. I think this will be the final time we ever see the combination of Machigetta versus Cannon in USW. That's what I'm going to say. Primarily because I think the Cannon versus Machigetta story has run its course. You know, I think, you know, you can do a lot with Zach Hardy versus Machigetta, a lot with Zach Hardy versus Cannon. I think Machigetta versus Cannon has kind of run the well dry now, because it's like, there's stories to all three of those guys, and a lot of them are, Cannon was always the shadow of Zach Hardy, and Machigetta was always the shadow of Cannon. And every one of those feuds, you can have a story to them. Machigetta is kind of building up the case for biggest USW name of all time. Meanwhile, Zach Hardy already has that moniker, so that's where their clash is. Cannon and Zach Hardy, it's a blood feud. It's like first and second fighting to see who can really gain first place. And then Machigetta and Cannon over the past couple of years has been a case of Cannon used to be above Machigetta, now Machigetta is kind of above Cannon, so now that's the clash there. Though I think Machigetta versus Cannon is the more intriguing storyline of all three, I think it's run its course the quickest. Because at this point, you kind of know Cannon's going to lose to Machigetta. While it's a case of Cannon versus Zach Hardy fighting for first place, it's the case of, well, you know Zach Hardy's always going to be that kind of face of the company in a sense, in some way. Cannon always had a chance to beat Zach Hardy, and he always ended up beating Zach Hardy more often than Zach Hardy beat Cannon. Meanwhile, Majigeta is more Sagan's claim now ahead of Cannon than he had beforehand. So Majigeta tends to always come out the upper hand. That's why I'm going to predict Majigeta to retain or to win the World Heavyweight Championship. I think Cannon could use some time off from USW. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I think he could definitely use some time off from active competition to really, really amp up for when he returns, have a lot of crowd support. And I think Majigeta will do wonders with the World Heavyweight Championship from here on out. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do over the next couple of months in terms of who wins the match. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the story has to offer going forward. You know, in terms of the fact of, will these guys come face-to-face in a backstage kind of sense over the next couple of months, or is it going to be an every week kind of thing? Is Cannon going to be implemented into weekly television somehow? I have no clue, but I'm looking forward to this match. I don't think it's going to be better than Austin Atomic versus Majigeta from last year, but I'm going to hold out hope for it to be a good match. Anyway, with that being said, that is my preview and prediction for USW Call to Greatness 13, which takes place this Sunday in New Jersey on April 29, 2018. What are your thoughts on the show as a whole? What are your thoughts on the matches? What are your previews and predictions for it? What do you have to say about the show in it and of itself beforehand or afterhand? With that being said, thank you guys for watching. Leave your answers in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I am Zach Hardy. I'm signing off.